Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Untitled Thrashers franchise mode here in NHL 21. So in last episode, we made a few trades to give us a little bit more depth going into the playoffs, and as you can see, we finished the season 43, 28, 6, and 5. Now, the players we brought in at the trade deadline include defenseman Hal Gill, who we are going to be using as depth at this moment, but if for some reason one of the young guys aren't playing that well, we will put Hal Gill into the lineup to try and add a little bit more size to our lineup and also more kind of veteran heavy play. He also played in Tampa Bay with them last season. He's been a really good defensive defenseman for the most of the simulation so far, so I'm hoping that he could help us out in the playoffs if we really need to play well defensively. And then also we did bring in Stefan Yell. Yell also didn't play actually a game with us in the regular season, but he was playing in Detroit and he's not that bad of a defensive forward, and he also puts up an okay amount of points when he is given the opportunity. So yeah, he's just a depth pickup as well, just in case we have any injuries or we need to play a veteran over a young guy. So we could take like Clinge out of the lineup, for example, and put in Yell if for some reason Clinge isn't doing too well. But anyways, we had a pretty good regular season and kind of a surprising season, and we're now taking on the New York Rangers, who had a very weird record, going 34, 34, 11, and 3 on the season. As you can see in their last 10, they were 2, 3, 3, and 2. So I don't know how this team even made the playoffs, but hopefully we could beat them. We should be able to. I'll show you guys their lineup again quickly, but it's kind of a weird roster. Like, they have an okay top line, but then you get into their depth and this team just falls off a cliff. Like, the top line, you have Castle, Sundin, and Kovalev, pretty good top line, I would say. And then Barnaby and Gagne are pretty good, but then you get into like their centers. You got 74 overalls all the way down, and then you also got some 76 wingers, some 78 wingers, 77, 73 wingers. Like, I don't know why this team is not playing anybody that's making a lot more money, because there is no salary cap in this, so it just kind of makes no sense to an extent. And then defensively, they do have Barrett Jackman, but once again, they do not have that other stud defenseman. I mean, Price and Sauer are like okay top 6 options, but to have like Anthony, Otterize, and Penttinen in the lineup is a little weird. And then their goaltending is pretty decent, actually. They have Jose Theodore, who could definitely steal them some games, and Alex Ald. And then there's their depth as well. It's just some 74s and 73s. So they must have lost a lot since we last played them. Like, I think they lost Pavel Bure and a couple other players. I wasn't sure if it was to retirement or via signings and stuff like that. But anyways, I think we could actually win maybe our first ever playoff series. That would be pretty awesome if we could. Let's see if that can actually happen, or will we get cheesed by a team that just barely made the playoffs, because that happens sometimes too. Here we go, game 1 on home ice at the Phillips Arena. Let's see if we could take a 1-0 series lead. First period, and Rangers score first, and it's 78 defenseman Kurt Sauer who scores a short-handed goal on Carey Price. Not good to start this game. Shots are 12-8 in favor of the Rangers. Second period, and we tie it up. Good stuff. Sergei Bobrovsky gets on the board. Not the goaltender, but one of the guys that we brought in the offseason. He gets his first ever playoff goal, I think. Shots are 20-16 in favor of the Rangers, but it is an even game so far. Let's see if we can get a goal in this third period and go ahead. No, we can't yet. Simon Gagne gives the Rangers the lead. Oh, and Barrett Jackman scores. Of course, their good guys are scoring. They're like 84s, and Bohinski makes it 4-1. How is this Rangers team this good? So far, this team looks like we're not. I feel like we're gonna get cheesed. I really do. Because we have a way better roster, and somehow this 74 plus overall team is going to beat us 4-1 in game 1. We got outshot 31-25, but not a great third period from one Carey Price. Our only goal in that game was Bobrovsky from Clinge and Frolov, so the fourth line got the only goal in that game, so we need to get our top 6 going a little bit. Any badly minus players, Bure, Bork, and Houghton, so that is the third line, I think, or maybe it's the second line combined, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's the second and third line, and we're both minus. And then it looks like Carey Price actually got replaced by Brian Elliott late in the game, and he actually made all the saves. So we actually could try and play Brian Elliott if for some reason Carey Price drops us the next game. I think that might be a good option to do, just to give maybe Carey Price some rest, because obviously he might be a little bit tired after playing a lot during the regular season. Okay, game number 2. We're not going to change anything with our lines just yet. Let's see if we could tie the series up. Headed back to New York. because I do not want to get swept by a cheese team, please. First period, and it's 2-1 for us. I'll take that. Kovalev opens the scoring for them, but then Bork and Conley score. So Conley is, I think, yeah, he's the 18-year-old defenseman we drafted last year. Bork is another one of those pickups that we brought in the offseason from Columbus, one of those young guys. We're out shooting them 16-9 after the first period, so a very good opening period for us. Second period, and it's 4-2. I don't like how the Rangers are actually able to score, though. It's kind of weird. So Malkin gets a goal, and then Jalen Wall gets his first ever playoff goal. Brennan Othman, though, makes it a 2-goal game. Shots are 33-20 in favor of us. So let's see if we could lock this one down here in the third period. Power play opportunity for us. We don't score on it. And now we do. Richard Park scores, make it 5-2. We are getting a lot of good chances this game. Hopefully that continues this series, because we're almost out shooting him by 20 shots. Last 4 minutes of this game, and we are going to tie the series at 1 apiece with a nice 5-2 victory. Outshooting 47-28 at the end of that game. So the goals in that game: Bork from Houghton and Likachev, Conley from Houghton, Malkin from Kovalchuk and Blugis, Wall from Klinge and Kovalchuk, and Park from Brody and Bure. Not too bad. Kovalchuk gets first star, Malkin the second star, and Carey Price the third star. So a good bounce back game from Carey Price. We will definitely keep rolling with him for now until we lose like 2 games in a row. Okay, so we shift the series to New York at the Madison Square Garden. Can we win our second game in a row, or are we going to trail in the series after this game? Let's see what happens. First period of Game 3, and it is 1-1. Matt Sundin opens the scoring, and then Richard Park ties it up with his second of the series and second goal in as many games. Shots are 10-8 in favor of the Rangers. Second period, and we're up 2-1. Let's go. Valerie Bure on the power play. Shots are 23-18 in favor of the Rangers. Let's see what happens in this third period of Game 3. Can we get insurance marker, please? Who wants to make it a 3-1 game? Penalty kill. Nicely done. Final 10 minutes, another penalty kill. Stop giving them power play opportunities, boys. Final 5 minutes of this third period. They're out shooting us badly because of those power plays, I think. And we are going to hold them off and win 2-1. So a very good game from Carey Price. So Carey Price has actually turned it on a lot these last 2 games. The only goals in that game for us were Park from Bure and Brody, and Bure from Kovalchuk and Malkin. 3 stars in Game 3. Carey Price making 35 saves gets first star, and then Bure the second star, and Jose Theodore the third. Not a bad game at all. Our team seems to have been turning it on a little bit. We have 7 goals in our last 2 games and 3 goals against only in the last 2 games. So we are playing some pretty good defensive hockey, even without Hal Gill in our lineup. Okay, let's get into Game 4. See if we could take a 3-1 series lead here, or are we going to have a tie series headed back home? Let's see what happens. First period, and it's a 2-1 lead for us. Let's go, boys. Pettinen scores for them, so that's that 76 defenseman, I think, that's on the top 2. And then Houghton scores his first ever playoff goal with us, and Kovalchuk scores as well. Shots are 14-7 in favor of us, so we are playing like what we did in game number 2. Hopefully the outcome will be like game number 2 as well. Actually, was it game 2 or game 3? I don't even remember, but it was one of those games. Second period, and we're up 4-2. Yeah, this is almost the exact same score. Castles makes it a 2-2 game, but then Bobrovsky gets a power play goal, and Park scores again, which is pretty awesome. That make it a 4-2 game going into the third. Shots are 25-16 in favor of us. Let's see what happens here in this third period. See if we can lock this one down. And Castles is going to make it a 1-goal game. Castles is like their best overall player. Power play opportunity, we don't score. Penalty kill, nicely done. Come on, boys, get an insurance marker, please. Final 5 minutes of this third period. Only up by 1 goal still. And we are going to hold them off as Martinez gets the empty netter. We win 5-3, and we have a 3-1 series lead on the New York Rangers, which is what I was kind of expecting us to do, because this team should definitely be able to beat these Rangers. So Houghton from Bork and Likachev, Kovalchuk from Bergeron and Wall, Bobrovsky from Houghton and Likachev, and then Park from Bure and Kuznetsov, and Martinez from Bergeron. Bergeron's actually been a little bit quiet this playoffs, but I'm not going to change into the lines because of that. Castles gets first star for them, then Houghton for us, and Likachev as well for us. Not a bad game. Carey Price has been pretty solid. Our offense has been pretty good as well because we have scored 5 goals in 2 of our last 3 games. So we have a 3-1 series lead. Can we win our first ever playoff series in franchise history with a win in on home ice? I was going to say New York, but on home ice. Let's see what happens here. First period, and it is a scoreless period, so it looks like Jose Theodore's kind of waking up a little bit because obviously he's led in 5 goals in 2 of his last 3 games. Shots are 10-5 in favor of New York, so we need to get a little bit more opportunities in this second period. And we're up 3-1. Let's go. They opened the scoring. It's Castles again, who's been probably their best player. But then Malkin, Kovalchuk, and Martinez score, and we are up by 2 goals going into this third period. We're out shooting 21-17. Can we lock this one down and win our first ever playoff series? And also, who are we going to face in the next round if we get to that next round? Penalty kill, nicely done. Our penalty kill has been actually pretty good this postseason so far, as Matt Sundin makes it a 1-goal game. Come on, boys. Lock it down. Get that insurance marker, please. And we're going to get the insurance markers. Evgeny Malkin gets the empty netter. We win 4-2, and we have taken this series in 5 games to win our first ever playoff series. That's pretty awesome. So Malkin from Bergeron and Martinez, Kovalchuk from Frolov and Bergeron, Martinez from Bergeron and Kuznetsov, and Malkin from Kovalchuk and Bergeron. So I said Bergeron was quiet, and then he picks up 4 assists in a game, so never mind, he's not that quiet anymore. He gets first star of the game, Martinez the second star, and Carey Price has been pretty good so far this playoffs. He gets third star. So that was a really fast simulation. It only took 12 minutes to get through that first round, but let's take a look at our player stats for this first round of the playoffs, and then we'll take a look at who we're going up against in round 2, as well as probably the playoff tree just for fun, and to add a little bit more time to this episode because or else it's going to be way too short. So center-wise, Bergeron had 6 assists in 5 games. 4 of them came in that last game. Malkin, 4 points, 3 goals, 1 assist. Houghton had 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Kuznetsov had 2 points. Frolov had 2 points. And Clinch had 2 points. So our depth is definitely showing up in this postseason. Malkin's shooting 27% right now, which is really good. Kovalchuk, 6 points as well. Likachev has 3 assists in 5 games. And then right wing wise, Bure's got 4 points. Parks got 3 points. Bobrovsky and Bork both have 2 points. So everybody on our forward core has a point after the first round, which is really, really impressive. I like that. Hopefully that continues into next round. Defensively, Martinez leads for defenseman with 3 points in 5 games. Then Wall with 2 points and Brody with 2 points. Then Connolly and Blue just both have 1 point. And Malik has no points, which is kind of surprising because he did have 26 points, which I think led all of our defensemen in the regular season. So everybody on the entire team had a point except for Thomas Malik so far. And then goalie-wise, Carey Price was actually really good in that first round, 4-1 with a .921 save percentage and a 2.5 goals against average. He didn't play good in Game 1, but Game 2 to Game 5, he was really good. And then Brian Elliott was 0-1 with he didn't even allow a single goal, but he gets credited with the loss, which is a little weird for playing 11 minutes. Let me actually take a look at the Rangers stats just for fun as well, just to see how bad they did against us. So yeah, Castles was definitely their best player. Their top 6 was good, but then you get into like their bottom 6, and you got a lot of minus players. And that's where I think we took advantage of them, is that depth. And in goaltending wise, yeah, Jose Theodore was not good for them. Alex Auld was actually pretty good, but Jose Theodore wasn't. Okay. Who are we going to be playing in the second round for our first ever round 2 matchup? Kind of curious. Did Manitoba get on to the next round? No, I don't think they did. We're going to be taking on, though, the Florida Panthers in round 2. Interesting. How did they finish the season? 37, 27, 16, and 2. So once again, we actually have home ice advantage going into the playoffs. So the second round of the playoffs is Detroit and Minnesota, San Jose and Colorado, us in Florida, and Europe and Buffalo. Interesting. Let's take a look at these Florida Panthers and see what their lines look like. We'll also take a look at how they did during the regular season. But what does their lineup look like? So here is their line. So they have Jan Hrdina, interesting, who has been pretty solid of a player, I'd say, for them. They also have Trevor Wong, who they drafted way back in first year. They also have Scott Walker, interesting. Second line, Derek Armstrong with Victor Kozlov and Matthias Ovalstad. So it looks like they have a little bit of a mix with youth and veteran-heavy presence, because they got some really old guys on their top six, but they also have Ovalstad and Wong, who are pretty young. Third line, they have Garrett Shaw with Stephen Weiss and Robert Lang, so another veteran. And fourth line, they have Jan Sickhart with William Eklund and Ian Lapierre. So, yeah, kind of a good mix of veterans and young players. So I kind of like it. And then defensively, this might be where they're strong at. They have Jay Bomeister with Lubomir Visnovsky. Second pairing, Adam Foote, who's dropping off a bit, with Oleg Tverdovsky. And in top six wise, they have Mikhail Eriksson, who they drafted in the second round in 2022. He's a low elite defender with Carlos Grastins. Interesting. Goaltending wise, they still have Roberto Luongo, so we don't have a dynamite goalie like this, but they do. Eventually, Carey Price will be that good, but yeah, Roberto Luongo could definitely steal them the series. And they also have Dan Blackburn as their backup. And then in terms of depth, they have Dale Purinton, who's like an enforcer, Callie Backlund, who they drafted in the first round in 2021, and František Kaberle. So they actually have some pretty good depth and pretty good defensive play. So I feel like this team is probably not, I wouldn't say a bad offensive team, but they probably are better defensively than they are offensively in the regular season. But let's take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at how they did in their first round, like their player stats, just so we can kind of get a good feeling for who we should watch out for. So, the Florida Panthers were the fourth best team in their division. They finished with 2.9 goals for per game, while we finished with 3.34, so we were way better offensively than they were. Goals against wise, they had allowed 2.68, which is really good. And that is actually better than us as well. So they were one of the best defensive teams in the NHL, which is what I was expecting. Their power play is 16.7%. While our power play was 14.3%, so they actually are better on the power play. And in penalty kill wise, they were 84.9, while we were 83.1. So they're actually better special team wise than us, and they are better defensively than us, even though we finished ahead in the standings. Actually, in terms of the entire league, let me take a look at this quickly. They were the sixth best defensive team in the NHL, behind only Detroit, San Jose, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Ottawa. Interesting. Let's take a look at their player stats for this playoff so far, so we know who to watch out for next round. So here is their player stats. So Derek Armstrong's leading the way. Interesting, with Kozlov, Walker, Hrdina, and Wong all with 4 points plus. Well, it looks like they actually have a pretty even balance between their roster for points. Just like us, they only have one guy without any points. Which is William Eklund. So their only player that doesn't have a point is their forward, while us, it's a defenseman. And in their goaltending situation, Roberto Luongo's been really solid so far, and Dan Blackburn's actually been pretty good as well for only playing 1 minute. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 2 against the Florida Panthers as we look to win our first ever round 2 matchup. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.